Hello.
Hello. My son is behind the camera, so if I'm looking that way, it's because he's there. Ja. Kan je wel stil zijn? Oké, I will introduce myself a little bit. I am Jolien. I live in Belgium. I have 3 kids that will make some noise sometimes in this video. But they are playing outside right now. I homeschool my children because they are autistic and because I'm not a fan of the regular school system. And I found out in 2023 that I am autistic too. And I am going to share a little bit about my journey. And I asked people to send me in their questions, and I'm going to answer a little bit of those questions. So I found out in 2023 that I'm autistic. It would not have happened if my kids weren't autistic. And they aren't even diagnosed yet. I am the only one actually now with an official diagnosis. But I'm going to keep the story short, that when my kids did go to school, the teachers often said they have traits of autism, especially my daughter. She had a very hard time in school, and in the beginning I had a very difficult time with labels. I was one of those people that was like, oh, we don't need labels, they're harmful. And it probably was because I got some harmful labels in the past, or harmful names in the past. Also because I was insecure in the past about myself, being different, feeling like I was not good enough, trying to change myself. So I didn't want to add a label that would feel like bringing myself down, because I wasn't aware of what autism actually meant. So in the first stage I started like pushing it away, but oftentimes they said things like they did something, my children, and I was always like, yeah, that's normal. And I think a lot of late diagnosed people with children can relate to the fact that we think that their autistic traits are normal to us, like stins or not looking into the eyes. Like, I never got the comment that I don't look into people's eyes, because I look at their nose and lips, and I oftentimes would comment. I remember me talking to my mother and saying, oh, they have such a beautiful nose, or they have like this kind of nose, or I don't know, I'm always fixated on their nose, so people think that I'm looking into their eyes. It was when COVID happened, when everyone was wearing a mask, that I couldn't look at the lips and nose, that I realized, oh, where do I have to look at now? Like, I was so confused, and then became aware of the fact that, oh, I actually don't look into the eyes, because now I don't know where to look. And it stressed me out. So the more I started realizing that I constantly said like, oh, this is normal, I do this too, and started to accept and become aware of my children's traits, that they are autistic traits, I started learning about it, because I want to help my children and be there for my children as much as possible. So I started binge learning about autism. It became my special interest. I started learning all about it and realizing like, oh, but this sounds like me. And then I got diagnosed. So this is my intro, and now I am going to answer all the questions that you have been asking me. So one of the questions is, how does it feel to discover you are autistic, and how did you cope with that? So when I accepted the label and discovered and got the diagnosis that I am autistic. I think a lot of you guys can relate to this, but it makes you evaluate your whole entire life, your whole entire childhood, your parents, your struggles that you have in life, your relationships, your past jobs, the way you think, the way you are, the way everything, you start to re-evaluating everything and start to see that a lot of the things that happened in your life were influenced by autism. I discovered also that as a child I already got tested, but in the 90s a lot of girls, first and for all, in the beginning they did not know that girls also could be autistic. Second, they didn't know that autism in girls represents different than in boys. First and for all, autism is a spectrum, so it's different in everyone, but it will be showing differently in women than in men. For example, women will mask more, will maybe be able to look into the eyes, will verbally be maybe stronger and good in communication, maybe better than their fellow autistic guy. But there are a lot of autistic guys that also are good in communicating, so we cannot generalize this into a gender. But it was so that girls weren't autistic, diagnosed autistic in the 90s, and I'm a 90s girl, so and so I started reevaluating everything, and it felt like all the puzzle pieces finally fit. And I for years I was trying to change myself and heal myself because I thought I was broken and a broken human being that couldn't cope in this world, I couldn't and now finally I don't have to constantly heal or change or fix myself, because now I can find that I accept myself who I am. I have a different kind of brain. I think different, I communicate different, I feel different, I am different, and I accept myself now. And it was really a journey of self-love, but also like becoming aware of, like, for example, my father, he stimmed like too, he had like some similar stims, he was like very imaginative like me, he had like also like meltdowns in combination with anger and not being able to handle all of that energy that can build up, like learning about PDA and learning about like all of those things, and seeing it in family members, seeing it, recognizing, like my best friend told me like, oh, because of what you share now, I also think that I'm autistic. And I'm seeing that the friends that I had in the past, none of them were neurotypical. And it becomes like one big journey of all the truth in your life becoming so clear. So I feel very, very grateful. After I discovered that I am autistic, also have ADHD, dyslexic, I have like a whole spectrum of labels now that I accept. I also recognized that I found my mission to become a creative therapist and help other neurodiverse, if that's the right word, neuro, rainbow, neuro, spicy people, autistic people, in helping them to express themselves in creative ways, into art, drawing, painting, for example. But that's one example. Also in dance, in words, in a poem, in singing, in dancing. I love dancing, so I think I said it twice. In all creative ways. So the question was, can you tell us a little bit more about your mission? Yes, I really felt like regular therapy, talk therapy, doesn't work for a lot of autistic people or neurodiverse people, because we really want to lay it out. We are problem solution. We love problem solving. We are so self-aware that when we talk to the psychologist or whatever, they often don't give solutions or don't believe what we are saying, or like, you all have it all figured out, so they can't do anything. What we need is to be able to, the struggles that we deal with in our neurotypical world, we want to be ourselves, and we want to express all of that energy and all of these feelings that we have like multiplied. It's like when you have a sound button, you have like the neurotypical sound of feelings, and then you have the neurodiverse, like whoa, all the way. We feel so intense. So being able to express through art, work with paint, or dance it out, sing it out, to like let it flow is very helpful. But also to tell the stories visually or with movement, and to release the trauma and the stress. Also to learn to cope with situations, like when I'm angry, instead of smashing a door, like throwing the door, instead of doing that, I go inside or outside and put on music that is with a lot of rhythm, and stamp on the floor and let it all out. Because as a child I had a lot of anger issues. I didn't know that it had to do with PDA, and that that it had to do with need of control and feeling. I'm searching for the English words. Help me. Oh, thank you. I always talk to my brain, and then I can recall words because I'm dyslexic. Sometimes then you can't recall words because you think in images or in feelings. And I lost the word again. I feel, oh please bring it back. Powerless, thank you. Thank you, my brain. I feel that powerless, and when I feel powerless, I go into fight or flight. Mostly fight, and that means like raising my voice. Especially as a child, I started like throwing up books or throwing doors or getting so angry, and it was so overwhelming, and feels like suffocating. It feels like your emotions become a tsunami that overwhelm you, and you have no control over that situation, and your rational thinking is like out of the door. And as an adult, I was in a more safe environment. I felt more loved, I felt more safe, I had more healed, so I didn't have those outbursts of aggressions anymore. But still I had like these emotional tsunamis inside of me that I sometimes couldn't handle, and then I was like with the door, or as a teenager I started hurting myself, and as an adult I sometimes still like put my nails into my skin, or had like harmful stims, so to say. So for me it's also about accepting that you have stims, and that you can express those things in a more healthy and loving way for yourself and your environment. That's so important, because I didn't have that as a child, and it makes me very sad. But I know my father didn't have that too, because he wasn't diagnosed either. My father had a disease on his kidneys. I can't explain in English very well, but like he could not handle stress, and then being autistic, undiagnosed autistic too, also PDA, definitely. he could not, like he didn't have help when he had those overwhelming feelings, and your environment suffers too. So yeah, my mission mainly is being a mother, so I cannot have that happen, becoming that angry, and I luckily never got into that place again, thank God. But I do need to feel a release of that energy and of those emotions and release it in creative, artistic ways. It can just be singing loud or just like, I will show you a video. I will show you what I do when I get angry. Because drawing and painting is calming, it's meditative, it's healing. You can process information that comes through, you can translate it, and you can process traumas or feelings or just release things. But anger is not a thing that you can easily release by drawing, because you're not in that calm place. You're in more like a fiery place, so you need to release that fire in a healthy way. And I'm going to show you a clip how I do that. I gotta move on. Next question is, you have completed your education as a creative therapist and received your diploma. And how do you feel about achieving this? This is it, my diploma. This is my first diploma. I did go to special education as a child because I have had difficulties with math and reading, dyslexic and dyscalculia. I don't know how it is in English, but so I had a lot of difficulties, and they did not know how to help me and teach me. So I did get into special education, get a certificate, but never a diploma. So to achieve a diploma for something that is so dear to my heart and I feel so passionate about, and studied for and learned for and did an exam for, and to be able to achieve this, I felt so proud and so happy, and it really felt like a next chapter of my life. So I'm going to put it here and yeah, maybe frame it and hang it when I start working as a creative therapist. But I really felt super grateful. Yeah. And I received the news, like I did my exam before New Year, and on New Year's Day I received the good news. Like it was like they wanted to give me a present, like the good news on New Year's Day, like the best beginning of 2024 ever. So I'm ready for this year. What are your future plans, personally and professionally? Well, I would love to talk about personal goals. We have like that piece of land that we bought, and like 2023 was such a beautiful year. Like we did go to Sweden for 3 weeks. We bought our piece of land. I found out I was autistic. Yes, that was one of the good things. Having my education. So the plans are to build our eco house on our piece of land and move to there to live more green, to start a food forest, and to eat more organic and natural and eat from our own grown crops, and to start my business there on the piece of land, to do creative therapy in nature, and maybe one day have enough money to build a studio too. Maybe have some animals on the property. Some chickens, maybe some goats, and whatever comes in mind, in heart. Yeah, to live in line with my true purpose is the goal for the future, to be myself unapologetically, to express myself just as I am, as an artistic, authentic, autistic being, and yeah, to start helping others and start a business out of there and to live in nature. Yeah, that's the yeah. And last but not least, what do you want to share with other people on a similar journey and about creative therapy? That's a good question. Let me tune into the heart, because I really want to give a message from the heart. I can really feel like I really want to for people that feel that they are autistic too, but don't have a diagnosis yet, but feel like it resonates. You don't necessarily need a diagnosis. I know we all like binge learning about certain topics, so if you're sure, then that's your truth, and don't let anyone else say it's not, because you know yourself. Trust yourself, trust your gut. That's very important. We are a big family, and we accept those with and without a diagnosis. And no matter if you are neurodiverse, neurotypical, no matter what or who you are, embrace yourself and love yourself. And I know that's so cheesy, but it's so powerful, to accept who you are instead of trying to constantly change. Don't change for anyone else. Don't be something for anyone else. I know it's hard. I know we all have learned to mask away our autistic traits, and that people sometimes can be judgmental when you when you have this stim, like my daughter. I don't really hand flap in that way. Sorry for the noise. But I don't really do that, but I know some autistic hand flap. It really feels good, by the way. You should try it, even if you're not autistic. Now in this video, just take your time to make this movement. It just feels good. I once did that when I was on a retreat. People were saying that they had difficulty to find inner joy. And I told them, without telling them that it was an autistic trait of autistic joy, told them to do hand flap. It's like, you tap into that joy. Don't judge about autistic traits because you just don't understand. Maybe try them even. Sorry for the noise again. Maybe try certain things like the stimming. It's calming. It's tuning into the vibration of your body and your soul. That's something I do. Not this, but mostly I do this. And it's like you activate an energy firing in your soul, and it's like, so don't be afraid to be your authentic, artistic, autistic self. Yes, this is what my heart really wanted to share. Don't be afraid to be your authentic, artistic, autistic self. Thank you all so much for your beautiful questions and for watching this video. And if you want to continue following my journey of my autistic, authentic, artistic journey. We're going to move to nature with animals. We're going to live self-efficient. We're going to change the world. We are homeschooling. I have 3 autistic children, and we are expressing ourselves here online creatively. And I would love for you to join and to feel inspired maybe. And yeah, thank you so much and lots of love. Mwah.